And we are live. What up, players? Welcome to episode 196 of Player Life. Today we have a special guest, Stirling Cooper, and we're going to chop it up. We're going to talk about how to make dirty talk work in general with women. What's up, Sterling?
I'm doing all right. Mac, I'm doing all right.
You
It's good.
good?
It's a good life out here in Miami. I'm not going to lie. I've been enjoying myself as of late. Indulging in the local wildlife, shall we say?
I'm liking the background, man.
Thank you. I'm telling you, man. This view is an absolute panty dropper. The moment they walk in the door and you take them out on that balcony, they're like, "Wow!" It's fucking game over.
Do not doubt it. Even nice. What camera are you using? It's a nice camera.
This is a
Here.
Sony A6 400. It's the lens that does the magic though. It's all in the lens.
All right. Yeah, I
I
like
can't
the
remember.
blurred
I can probably send it to you afterwards. I think John uses the same one as well.
background is pretty cool. Like I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
that's the trick. That's the trick, right? You just got to get you. The trick is you. I'm like a meter away from the camera, and that window is about 4 meters away from me. That's the trick.
All right.
That's how you do it.
You get the lights in the background. Pretty
Yeah.
sweet. It's all about location, man. I find it, locations is a huge part of the game, I think.
Yeah. I wouldn't disagree. I learned that when I was in my mid-20s. That's when I first sort of started realizing like how important things like location and logistics are to closing. Like if you can, because I used to live in a place called Northbridge in the middle of like Perth in Western Australia. Northbridge is like the clubbing district, and I lived there. So like everybody was like they'd get shit faced on Friday, Saturday nights, and we wouldn't even go to the clubs, man. Me and my housemate would just chill at home, play video games for a little bit, get drunk, and then we'd walk out on the streets and pick up all the chicks coming out the clubs. Right. It was just like easy mode. Well, you had to do way less work.
Yeah. I mean, if when you're living in a bad location, it's just it makes it a lot harder when you're trying to pick up chicks. It makes sense. It's not rocket science. It's like fishing. You go fishing in a barren ocean. It's going to be hard. But
I don't think it is that much common sense. I mean, because a lot of guys make that mistake. I hear stories, and I see guys talking about this who come to you or to John or to anybody else in this space for advice on it, and it's like, well, they're taking a girl out on a date like 45 minutes away from their house or something, and it's like they're not kind of getting her closer to them. And then it's like, well, how do I get her back to my place? It's like, well, you could have got her if you had her like at a bar near your house. That's a much easier pull back to your house than it is for a 45-minute fucking cab ride. It's like,
right.
But you once you explain this to a dude who hasn't had that experience before, then the lights turn on. He's like, oh shit, now I know like what to do. It's much easier if I just set things up in my favor in advance. Clean your goddamn house. Have your house looking nice. Don't have shit stains on your toilet. Like little fucking things like this. A lot of dudes don't pay attention to this stuff. They don't like what's the phrase? Like play to win. They don't assume success. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
They don't assume that they're gonna they go on a date, but they don't pre-plan the idea that they'll actually pull the girl back to their house.
Right.
Whereas every time I go on a date, I'm like, okay, condoms are in place or whatever. Like place is tidy. She's gonna come back. Everything's cool. Like I'm assuming the sale every time.
No raw dogging these days. All right.
You don't tell anybody that, Mac.
Yeah, no, but guys don't assume the sale. Yeah, but it's pretty crazy. I mean, even in a city, like I like in Tokyo, even certain parts of the city, it'll be easier than other parts.
Yeah.
I don't live in the best part to pick up chicks in Tokyo, but there are better places, more central locations, that are going to be it's going to be just ease of access, because it's actually it's so red pilling. It's wild, like how like 5 to 10 minutes can be the difference between you getting laid and not. Just if it's convenient for the girl to come back,
Yeah. Yep.
to your place, and it's just you can just make it seem like it's just happening. Then they'll come back, and once they're in a private setting, you can turn them on, you can escalate, and you can have sex. But if you have to get in a taxi, if you have to jump on a train, stuff like that, like ideally you want to be able to walk to your place, right?
Yeah.
Like
That's kind of how I do it.
Yeah.
But but the thing is, if you don't have the best logistics, if you have to like take a cab ride or have to take like a train or whatever back, then you need to then like it's doable, but you just need to add, you need to be able to run verbal game that during that time, to keep her on board,
Yeah, and hold frame as well.
Yeah, so it's like it's harder, but it's not impossible. It's doable. It's obviously doable, but it's just like if you have bad logistics, then okay, use it as an opportunity to practice that, right? Use it as an opportunity to like practice. Okay, I've got to keep this woman entertained for like 45 minutes while we get back to my place, and distract her from the fact that she's coming back to my place, basically.
Yeah, I remember when my game wasn't as sharp, I would kind of fuck up at that point. When it was like it was time to make your move, and it's kind of like remaining calm and like not showing that you're too excited about it. When you're trying, it's at that point where it's make or break, when it's like you're trying to get them back to your place, and it's like you're trying to like just say it in a casual way where you're not coming across as being too nervous or too excited or too like invested in it.
Yeah.
Now that I've done it so many times that it's just I'm not really that invested in the outcome. Of course, I want to have sex, I want to smash, but it's like just the more you do it, the more accustomed you come to it. But I remember back in the day when I was like, I would be too invested in, at the point where it's like, okay, let's go back to mine, or I wouldn't pull it off as smoothly as I do now, But yeah.
That's exactly the same. I'm going to segue here. That is exactly the same with dirty talk. Because a lot of dudes come to me with like the whole reason I made a video course on dirty talk is because I had so many dudes one requesting it, and two saying things like, I don't know what to say. I'm really shy and nervous about even trying it or even saying something in the bedroom. If I'm worried that if I say it weird, she's going to get turned off. And it's like you have to have faith in yourself to start with. You have to like say when you start saying things in the bedroom, when you start practicing it again and again and again, and when you start and more importantly, when you start saying more sort of dominant and commanding kind of language, it reinforces your confidence in it. It reinforces your confidence in yourself and your confidence in the bedroom, because like the language that people use really dictates their inner beliefs. I mean, John, our friend John, is a great example of that. The way that John talks about himself, he talks himself up a lot. So he has this belief in himself, right? And it's a very, very common trait amongst successful men, is they talk very highly of themselves. They talk themselves up like that, because that your language influences your self-belief system. And the same thing happens in the bedroom. So when you're like saying dominant things, you're telling her, okay, spread your legs, play with your pussy, taste your pussy off my cock, whatever it is. You're subtly kind of like reinforcing this belief in yourself that you are that dominant guy, you are that confident guy, you are the guy, you are that kind of guy who tells women what to do in the bedroom. You are the kind of guy who's comfortable and confident expressing things verbally in the bedroom that way. And I think for guys who are kind of like a bit shy about it, it's a self-fulfilling process. It's like the more you do it, the better you get at it. But the first step is to actually just say something and understand that she's probably not gonna kick you out of bed especially if you're saying something that's relatively like simple and tame and basic. And I teach guys like the simple basic stuff. I teach guys training wheel stuff. Like if you want to start off, you've never done dirty talk before and you don't know what to say. Okay, well, here's a really basic framework you can start with, and that is describe what she's already feeling. So, for example, you might say something like, can you feel your pussy juices running down your leg? If she's like really turned on and really wet, right? Well, obviously she can feel that. So all you're doing is making her pay attention and focus on something she's already feeling, right? Or another example might be if you're having sex and she's very, very wet and like you can kind of hear how wet she is downstairs, then you could say, can you hear how fucking wet you are right now? All you're doing is another sensation. We're using, instead of touch, we're using sound, but you're just drawing her focus and attention to what's going on, what you can already feel, what you can already hear, what you can already see, what you can already smell. You're just drawing her attention to it. Right. And it's not the kind of language that's going to get like a woman's going to be offended by. No woman's going to be offended by that.
Well, you know, it's sex is supposed to be dirty, like this
exactly.
kind of vanilla, like clean, like sterile sex is like kind of like it's supposed to be dirty. It's supposed to be animalistic. Like
nobody wants missionary position with the lights off for 5 minutes.
Yeah, like I don't know. Like the older the more experience I get, I don't even like having sex in the shower anymore because it's too clean. Like it's like, it's seriously, I genuinely mean that. It's like you can't smell them. You smell the soap and stuff. Smell is important with sex. You know, you can't. I just honestly, I feel like it's almost too sterile in the shower. Like,
you know what's funny is there you said that I used to have shower sex a bunch in my 20s, and I have not had shower sex for so long. It's a weird thing. I don't know if I didn't do it consciously.
The only time I do it now is if it's like when we're showering after sex and you know if she really turns me on because. That I can get erect immediately again, you know, sometimes when but I don't intentionally want to have sex in the shower, like, because it's just not as stimulating.
I personally, I'm kind of an exhibitionist. That's no surprise, given my background. So I kind of like doing it here in the living room with these big open windows and stuff, so like neighbors can if someone was to watch, they could actually see what's going on. But that turns the girl on too. That really turns her on. And again, that's if I have a girl back here, I could be like, how does it feel to have all these people watching you right now? Like that's an example of like, again, I'm drawing her attention to like where she is right now. That's gonna fucking turn her on, you know?
Yeah,
playing into that kind of perverted fantasy that that exhibitionist fantasy that a lot of women will have in the back of their mind.
Right. You know, actually, how do you escalate with how will I say this? First of all, I'll ask you, like, you know, when you're out and about, you're socializing, like, are you forefront about being a male porn star?
No, doesn't help. Never helps. No,
right.
That's never once have I led with it. Doesn't help me. And look, if they do a Google search, they'll find out. If they probe deep enough, if they go to my Instagram page and they click on my website, they'll find out within the first fold.
Right.
So if it's the way I look at it is like, look, all you had to do was the tiniest bit of, you have to do one click and you could find out about me, but you didn't even bother to do that. So it's not my fault that you didn't find out that I'm a porn star.
Yeah.
But it doesn't help. It has never. Well, the one exception was the girl I had around last night because she just happened to like be a big porn fan. So that was the one exception. Okay. But that is a very, very oddly enough, it is actually a rare circumstance.
Right. Yeah. No. Since the topic is dirty talk. Yeah, I'm very when I do game and when I'm trying to escalate with a girl. Like I'm very careful. I'm not like treading on ice or anything, but like usually I don't escalate too much verbally before I've gotten into a private location.
Oh yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I completely agree with that. I get guys asking me about like sexting and things like that, and I won't sext with a woman until I've already had sex with her.
Right. Yeah.
For the same reasons. It's like there's very little return on investment in like ramping up her arousal unless you can capitalize on it in the privacy of your own home.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about female nature, but I think they can almost, like, although they may get aroused by it, it's like they might overthink it, and it makes them nervous, and they start to, feel.
And I think it's because it kind of takes away from that, like, does he like me, does he not like me dynamic. Like that, she's not 100% certain if you want to, like, dick her down, right? But if you start saying dirty, if you start talking dirty to her in, like, the bar or something before you go home, she's pretty certain that you want to dick her down. So, like, there's no uncertainty there, and so there's no mystery there. It's like it's boring to her now because she knows what's going to happen. But if she doesn't know what's going to happen, then it's like, oh, well, there's some curiosity there. She can chase like a cat.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It just seems to me like it can. It's not that it can never work. It can work if a girl is into you enough. It will work. You can. When a girl is into you enough, you can pretty much do anything you want. I've told this story before, but I'll just mention it. It's just an example of how a girl. I was on a date with her, and I asked her, does she like clubs? And she was like, yeah, I used to go a lot. And I was like, have you been recently? And she was like, yeah, I went 2 weeks ago. I said, how was it? She said, oh, some guy grabbed my ass. So I was kind of pissed off, or she said she didn't like it. And then she continued and she said, you know what? He wasn't even hot. If he was hot, it might have been all right. So what? Okay, all right. But it just, I'm not suggesting guys grab girls by the ass. Obviously not. It's a poor game. But no, it's just an example of, like, in her, she's the one that said it. She said, if he was hot, it might have been all right. It was like, okay, right. It's pretty red. That's a red pill for you right there. But
look, rules for some and rules for others. Like, one rule for some, one rule for others, right?
Yeah, that's it.
And it helps to be perceived as that guy in her brain. It helps to be that. It helps to be perceived as the guy that she will do anything in the bedroom with, because you are the exception to the rule.
Right. Yeah. So, like, in certain circumstances, when she really does like you, when she's turned on by you, if you're in a bar or a club setting, like, you can escalate in different ways. I find, like, with nightlife, it's different. Like, in a club and in a bar, and I'm not a huge fan of nightlife, but that is one of the reasons that I like it, is that there is that element of quick escalation where it can get quite sexual, like, as opposed to day game. It's not like that, really. It's not like as sexual. It can get very sexual in the bar or the club, like, if you approach it that way.
Especially like on the dance floor, if there's a dance floor in the club, and you can, there's a bit of grinding, a bit of bumping up and down on one another. Yeah. Then we can start, like, we're already kind of getting physical, so then we can start maybe playing with that a little bit. But for the most part, like, I tell guys to, like, you reserve the kind of language that I teach them. It's dirty talking kind of language. Reserve it for, like, at your house when you're in, like, a sex location. Reserve it for, like, foreplay. Reserve it for the actual act of sex. And then after you've had sex with her for the first time, then you can absolutely use it in sexting back and forth to get it. If you're gonna see her for date number 2 or date number 3, and you've already had sex with her, then it's a fantastic tool to ramp her up during the whole day, so that when she walks in the door later that night, you're just ripping each other's clothes off, right? She's already fucking fired up and ready and amped and horny and dripping for you before she even walks in the door, because now you're in the category of men that she has had sex with. So it's a totally different ball game after that.
Right.
It's the same kind of language you can use to, like, fire her up for foreplay. Is the same kind of language you can use during the actual act of sex. And we're really just the thing between her ears up here. That's her biggest sexual organ. Like people ask me all the time about like, oh, how do I make a girl squirt? Like how do I hit the G spot properly? How do I get her to orgasm from eating her pussy or whatever? And I can teach guys all that, and it's all fun. It's any guy can learn how to do that. But once you learn how to tap into this thing, all of those other ways of getting a woman off become so much easier and so much quicker. Right. Because if you can turn her on up here, if you can tap into her imagination, tap into her mind, because women are fucking perverted. Women are so goddamn perverted. Men are like horny and have a higher sex drive than women, but women tend to be a lot more perverted and dark and twisted with their fantasies, in my experience. Like they're the ones who are like, they're the ones who want to be like tied up from the rafters and then had hot wax poured all over them and then be spanked and flogged and have a fist shoved up them or whatever. Like dudes aren't really fantasizing about it. Dudes are just fantasizing about getting their dick sucked. So it's like by a lot of different women. So like dudes want like more and more and more, whereas women want intense and dark and twisted for the most part.
Yeah, they're kind of, but they're always looking for. They're never going to be the ones to push it. It's us guys that have to push it, right? Because they may want it, but they're never going to suggest it or anything. It's like,
absolutely not. No, that's exactly right, and that's why I teach guys to sort of play with her imagination, because she might, let's say for example, she might have a really perverted fantasy that she say maybe masturbates to, or you might even give her a fantasy. You might even just describe a scenario to her, right? And it could be something like, I could look out on this balcony right now and be like, I'm going to fuck you down there in that alleyway behind that dumpster, and everyone's going to walk past and watch me turning you into my filthy fucking whore. Okay, that's a scenario I'm describing to her. I might not actually do that. I might never actually act out on that, but it doesn't matter because I've just taken her there emotionally. Just by vividly describing it to her, I've already given her the emotion of the experience, or at least a sampling of it. So it's almost as if I did it to her anyway. So just by using the power of language and the power of imagination, all of a sudden, I'm the guy who fucked her behind a dumpster in the alleyway and everyone watched. But they actually didn't. So I am now separating myself from every other dude who she's ever been with. I'm the only guy who can take her on all these like fantastic, wild fantasies and do it in a safe way because they never actually happened, whilst giving her mind-blowing sex at the same time. So it's really powerful stuff, man. Like, and a lot of dudes miss out on this because they're too shy to try it. Right.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Like if you're the first guy to do something with a girl, if it's something that she'll always remember you. Like if it could be anything, but it's you'll be that alpha guy that stood out from the crowd. There's nothing worse than being that boring guy. The boring guy is just that didn't, you're just another one of her notches. Like, and these girls have fucking notches. Believe me. Like, I don't care, there's they're fucking, they're having sex, even the good girls, the so-called good girls, they're getting sex,
Yeah.
And so they've done all the boring stuff. They've done all that, and they're, so you really have to, if you want to stand out, if you want to keep them coming back, you have to be, you got
to be the exception. You want to be the one who stands out, the exception to the rule.
I mean, even if they're not going to come back, you still want to have a good time yourself. Like you still want to make it a good experience, even if it's going to be a one night stand. Like, you want to be having good sex, like with multiple women. It's not about.
That's another thing. Is that like once you start practicing dirty talk, once you start getting into it, and you get the good reactions from it, you see how much she enjoys it, you see how much women in general enjoy it, and they really do enjoy it. Just there's not a woman on the face of the earth who's gonna disagree with me saying that women, if I said women like dirty talk, the only woman who doesn't like dirty talk is a woman who's completely dead inside. And so you start tapping into it, you start practicing with it, you begin to enjoy it just as much as she does, and it makes the whole experience much better for both of you because you end up turning yourself on through what you're saying to her because she's enjoying herself. And it's just this awesome little fun game, this awesome little feedback loop that both of you can play.
Yeah. I mean, just the idea of like one of my biggest turnoffs is generally when a girl, obviously when I see a girl is not receptive, or that, she tells me that I'm not allowed to do something. Obviously when a girl doesn't want to do something, you have to respect that. But it is a turnoff for me. Like it is a genuine turnoff. So like the idea of a girl not being receptive to dirty talk, it's just so, it's very prude. It's just a turnoff. But the thing is like when women, see you getting turned on by as a man, that's a lot of, that's a huge part in what turns them on.
Yep.
Seeing the man being genuinely aroused in a genuine way, not so like, and it's you could even segue into talking to, a lot. That's how a lot of guys actually suffer from, like, performance anxiety, erectile dysfunction is from overthinking but like not being genuine to their true desires, right?
Yeah. I have like a kind of mental framework I teach guys if they're struggling with a bit of anxiety, is this idea of the selfish pervert frame of mind, where I teach them, okay, you want to simultaneously be selfish and something like she is your personal little fuck toy, right? But you also want to be perverted.
Right.
Like she's this outlet for she's like a sexual muse. She's this outlet for you, and you want to explore every nook and cranny, twist and bump in her body, just because you're a pervert. But it's done in a selfish way. It's done for your pleasure. But it's not purely selfish, because you're not going to just bust in like 30 seconds and be done. But you have to tie in the perverted aspect to it as well. So you're going to take your time and explore her, right? But the combination of those two things, being selfish and perverted, is a very useful frame of mind for guys to come from if they're feeling kind of anxious. Because a lot of this anxiety and performance anxiety, a lot of it stems from them putting too much pressure on themselves and wanting to desperately so much wanting to please her and just really stand out a lot. So you kind of have to mind fuck yourself a little bit and take the pressure off. You don't care as much, and you do it in a selfish, perverted kind of way. And oddly enough, surprisingly enough, she enjoys that, because women enjoy being, like you just said, women get off on being the cause of your desire, being
right.
the cause of your lust, being the woman that drives you to full mast, shall we say. Right. They actually get off on that.
Yeah, you could actually say like one of the most powerful combinations is like your selfish perversion combined with understanding of female psychology and female anatomy. If you combine those three things, like your selfish perversions combined with understanding of her psychology and anatomy, you're gonna, like, you can have some of like most mind-blowing sex you'll ever have.
Game over.
Yeah.
It's completely game over for it.
Yeah, man. But I don't know. It's just like, what is one of the things that you feel like you're gonna teach guys with this Dirty Talk course?
Yeah, so there's a few things I teach in it, and it's most guys. There's a couple of things that I've snuck into this which most guys wouldn't expect from a course on Dirty Talk, right? So obviously, I talk about how to perfect your delivery. I talk about better ways of delivering dirty talk. I talk about vocal tonality. I talk about like how to get a deeper voice. I give the guys a bunch of different frameworks and a ton of examples they could just steal verbatim and teach them how to make their own stuff, so they don't run out of things to say, and they always kind of have something in their back pocket they can whip out in during sex and stuff. But I also, there's a couple more aspects to it, because dirty talk is not just a tool for amplifying her arousal. That's what most people just think it's that thing. Most people think it is just that, but it's also a tool for improving your own self-confidence and self-esteem in the bedroom. Like we kind of touched on before, the language that you use reinforces your self-beliefs. So by saying more confident and more perverted and more kind of commanding things in the bedroom, you adopt that frame of mind yourself. You start to reinforce the belief that you are that guy, right? So it's kind of self-hypnosis in a way. And the third thing that is really, really powerful about dirty talk that most people have no clue about is it's a tool for embedding frames in your dynamic with her. So I actually have if you want, I have a demonstration clip of exactly this to play for you. I can. Where are we at? Which one was I going to show? Imagine. Right. Let's do. How long does this one go for? 52 seconds. Let's do this one. Bam. I think you might enjoy this one. This is just a clip of. It's totally safe for work. You're not going to get in trouble showing us or anything. But it's just this is part of the demo clip at the end of this course that I show guys. Right. Where this is a tiny segment of this big clip of footage where I basically just I'm not having sex with this chick. I'm just sitting there lightly playing with her clit and whispering dirty shit in her ear for like 15 minutes and bring her to climax without penetration or anything like that. So the demonstration of how powerful dirty talk can be if applied correctly. But going back to my idea of the idea I mentioned of like it's a good tool for embedding frames within your relationship. I'm going to play this, and then we can sit down afterwards and we can break down exactly what I'm subtly doing here with this stuff. So I'm just going to crank my volume up here a little bit. In case you can't hear that, I said, imagine if that was some other girl's pussy as she's tasting my fingers. You love tasting some other fucking pussy off my fingers? Love tasting some other fucking pussy off my dick. What if I just fucking tied you up in that corner over there? Made you watch me fuck somebody else? Pulled my dick out of her? Used your fucking mouth to clean it off? That's all you're fucking good for, isn't it? A little pile of fucking holes for me to use. Little pile of fucking holes for me to abuse. My personal little cum dumpster? Yes. Say it. Okay, so that is an example of like some kind of fun stuff you can play around with, right?
Yeah.
So at the very beginning of that, I'm talking about I'm describing a scenario, and again, this is an example. Like I might not ever actually do that, right? But I also might, and with this, I'm doing it deliberately so that I can lead this into a future scenario where we have a threesome, right? Because I'm eroticizing the idea of her seeing me with another girl, and I'm embedding this idea of I'm kind of embedding this idea of bisexuality. I'm embedding this idea of she shares me with other women. Right? That's a frame I'm kind of embedding through dirty talk, and doing it in an arousing way. Right. So she accepts it, she enjoys it, and she gets off on it because she's eroticizing it. And then also at the very end there, I'm using kind of more degrading, humiliating language, calling her my personal little cum dumpster, and making her say it out loud herself. Because, well, for one, this girl in particular, it really gets off of that kind of language, and I know that, so that's why I chose her for this as a particular demonstration. But two, the kind of degrading, humiliating language, like you said, sex is messy, sex is perverted, sex is dark. We women especially like to tap into that. And a lot of dudes are way too shy and unsure of themselves to even try something like that. But you would be surprised at the number of women who really get off on being called all kinds of perverted, degrading things in the bedroom. And there's a reason for that. The reason for that is that it subtly puts you on a pedestal above her. Or maybe not so subtly, but it clearly if she is to accept, if she's to say like that she's my personal little cum dumpster, she's nothing but a worthless pile of holes. Well, obviously that means that it infers that I am quote unquote better than her, quote unquote higher value than her, and which reaffirms her choice in me as a lover. Because women don't fuck down, women only fuck up. So if she's going to have sex with a guy, she obviously thinks he's better than her, and so I'm just reinforcing that by using this kind of perverted, degrading language. which is why she finds it arousing.
Right. Yeah, you really have to be that guy with these women, because there's kind of levels to it. Like you know, you might be on the same level. Like the more on the level you are with the girl, the less she's gonna be turned on by you. Like so,
Yeah.
like, and if you're below her, won't be turned on at all. Like so it's like, you know, if some, you know, I mean, you know, I've been with so many women, so like there's been times where I've been with women, and it's like I know that it's maybe, you know, she's not viewing me as you know, not respecting me as you know, being above her. And then, you know, there's times where I'm with women, and you know, I you can just sense that. But you just really have to, like, genuinely follow your desires. And they do, you know, there's only so much you can do you can only, like, follow your true desires, and do what you're going to do, and be the best version of yourself in the bedroom, and be as perverted as possible. But, you know, like, basically the women, you know, women, they have to be game. Like they have to be turned on by you. Like, in order for them to, like, there's ways that you can turn them on through dirty talk, by being physically fit, you know, just, you know, being confident. But, like, if even if you do all that, there's some women that aren't going to be, like, they need to be aroused. Like, you know, you could know all the female anatomy, you could know her psychology, everything, but if they're not, like, game, it's going to be hard to make them come, right?
Yeah.
If they're not like, you know, just if they're not turned on by you, it's just like, I heard some crazy statistic. I don't know how valid it is, but I saw it on some random Instagram post. But apparently, like, a very tiny percentage of women have come to orgasm the first time that they have sex with a guy that they don't know.
Right.
Statistically,
I wouldn't be surprised by that, to be honest, because most guys don't have the, like, you have to sort of get to a certain notch count to kind of understand every woman's, and, like, the how do I want to say it, like, the commonalities amongst all women in terms of what buttons to push and what turns them on. So you,
right.
and that takes a certain notch count. Like, if you've only had sex with, like, one woman, and then you go have sex with your second woman, she's probably, the chances of her responding to the exact same things is pretty slim. But if you've had sex with, like, 50 women, okay, I've seen this kind of girl before. I know what to do with her. I know what buttons to push on her. I can tell. I can look at her body language. I can tell what she's responding to, so I know what to do.
Right.
So,
yeah, it's like, so if you are one of the guys that can make women come, like, on a one night stand or something, you're in the top % of men, pretty apparently. I don't know how valid, but it's just some random Instagram post I saw. But
well,
I
so
mean,
Instagram post sounds like a credible source to me, Mac.
yeah, it could be. Who knows, man? But I don't know. Would you would believe that?
I believe that. I mean, because I mean, I am the guy that makes an orgasm on the first try.
Right. Yeah. So,
you know, and it's not like, it's not a comp. But from the looks in their eyes and the reactions on their faces, and the her sitting there quivering in a puddle of her own juices, you get the impression that not every dude is doing that to her.
Right.
You know,
and it's not something you ask, right? I never ask women, oh, did you come? Oh, did I make you come? Like,
no, never.
it's just so weak, man. Like, the more women you've been with, you know, like, you know, like, you don't need to ask. It's not something you need to ask. Like,
Yeah.
I've always thought that
there's certain things that a woman cannot fake. So, I mean, and I know this because I work in the industry where they fake orgasms all the time, the porn industry, right? So a woman can fake, like, the oral, like the moans and groans of orgasming, right? And she can, and some of them, in my industry in particular, some of them will even kind of fake, like, leg shakes to a degree. But certain things she cannot fake. This is how you can tell if she's actually aroused and she's actually having an orgasm, etc., etc. Well, one, she can't fake producing pussy juices. She can't fake being wet. That's a natural, uncontrollable reaction. She can't fake her clitoris engorging. She has no control over that. So as she gets more aroused and more turned on, her clitoris is going to swell and get a little bit bigger. So she can't control that. Third, she can't actually, genuinely, if a woman has orgasm after the fact, if you're inside of her, and especially if you've given her orgasm from penetration, her Kegel muscles will be still pulsating and quivering around your dick. And that's kind of like kind of the way that like when a dude comes, he like spasms, like he shoots multiple like spurts. That's kind of the exact same thing, but she's doing it with her like PC muscles inside of her vagina. So what you'll find is like if you make her orgasm and you sit still for a few seconds, you'll feel her pussy gripping and pulsating around your dick. You're like, all right, got her. Like she could be like doing a Kegel exercise, but if she's like sitting there like sweating, moaning, like being like ugh, like that, and it's like pulsating without her really even doing the rest of her body doing anything, then you know it was a legit orgasm. Like she can't fake like the spasms that she gets in her like upper like pubic area, like around her hips and stuff, like internal spasming. She can't fake that stuff. So these are all like little things that guys, if you made a woman orgasm before, you'd be like, oh yeah, that's a real one. Like obviously she ain't. And most women aren't trying to fake it either. I think it's more of a case of dudes not really just knowing if a woman has come or not, because they don't know what signs to look out for. So she might be having a good time and enjoying herself, but she just didn't reach orgasm. And they're not. The dude just isn't really sure if she's got there or not. But if you know what you're doing, if you've been there before, if you've made multiple women orgasm before, then you know these little signs to look out for. It's like, okay, I hit that one out the park, bang, got it. That's a home run.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many different ways to make women come too. I mean, it's you can use your fingers, your mouth, your dick. Like it's not just one way you have to do it. Like if you can't make a girl come with your dick, you can use your fingers. Like you can use your mouth. There's a clitoral orgasm, then there's an internal orgasm. Women are complicated when it comes to sex. Let's be honest.
That's what I like about it. I like that they're not so straightforward. They're kind of fun. It's like a fun little puzzle. I like it. It's and like knowing it's like I don't know. It'd be kind of like being a mechanic and knowing like the ins and outs of like a motorcycle. I look at it like that. I'm like, I like that I know I know her body better than she does. That's how fucking good I am at this. I know shit about her that she doesn't even know. There's a number of women I have made squirt on that goddamn couch, and it's just like I didn't know I could do that. And I'm like, bitch, you have no idea. You got no idea what I am capable of. You got no idea what I can do to you. And you just take them by surprise, Yeah. You just show them what for. But you're absolutely right. And I'll tell guys as well, like let's say if a dude has like an undersized penis, for example, and he's a bit, he can't quite get a girl to come from vaginal penetration. Well, motherfucker, like use the clitoris. Like he doesn't have to be, play to your strengths. And it's like some women are harder to make orgasm from vaginal penetration. So they're not. Some women, it'll take a lot of practice and a lot of time and a lot of getting to know exactly the way her body works before you can find the right angle and the right position for her.
Well, I mean, just like dick size, pussy size is different too. Just as as there's a huge variety amongst dick sizes, there's a huge variety in vagina sizes.
Absolutely.
The reality is size does matter, but it's the fit that counts, isn't it?
Yes.
Like it's actually the fit. It has to be a good fit. There has to be traction. There has to be the right amount of stretch, right? So it depends. It depends. Like there has to be traction, right? I mean, when women say they like a good size, it really is relative to what their pussy size is. Like it really is. Like
absolutely.
Like I've been with girls in Japan where it's like, man, it's just so fucking tight. Like it's like but other girls, it's not as tight. Like it's just not, and they could take a like a pretty big dick. Like you get some girls and it's like it's just not that tight. But
if I'm being honest, I actually prefer the ones that aren't that tight. If I'm being totally honest. I don't know why. It's just I like when there's a little bit of like room in there. It's just me.
You're the only guy.
Yeah, I must be the only guy who likes that.
Oh yeah, but like that's the cold hard truth, isn't it? Though, like girls do like a good fit. They want to feel like there's something in there, right? And that's just what's gonna give them pleasure.
Yeah.
Is the friction.
Absolutely. It's a lot of dudes will get kind of hung up on like penis size, and they'll, because when dudes talk about like a big dick, normally they're referring to the length. But when women talk about a big dick, they're always referring to the girth of the fucking
right.
dick.
Yeah,
Because that's the sensation they want. They want to feel filled up and feel full. So that's the thing they're going after.
Yeah. And that's it is what it is, you know. But I feel like, you know, women or guys, you know, if they guys that when girls cheat on their boyfriends, you know, it's like I think it would be, you know, generally they're leveling up. They're trying to like they're cheating with a guy that's is just better than their boyfriend, you know, probably, you know, most likely chances are better at sex too.
Yep.
So that's if guys could see their girlfriend cheating with another guy, that would be one of the and some guys do, you know, that would be one of the most hardcore red pills ever. Like seeing their their girlfriend like getting fucked better than they ever fucked their girlfriend.
Yeah, Jesus.
But they could also learn a lot from that, maybe too.
Probably, yeah. I mean, I used to get hired to do exactly that. That was part of my job for a long period of time.
Yeah, it was like cuckolding, right?
Yeah, being as an escort back in Australia, I'd have dude wants me to see me bang his missus, so he sits in the corner, jerks off, and I freaking have my way with her, you know. And it's like, okay. I mean, I'm getting paid. I'm happy. No.
I guess it's some kind of weird. I'm sure. So you've seen a lot of pain on some guys' faces, but there's this like,
you know what? All the dudes who like hired me, they enjoyed it.
So they're enjoying it sexually, but I think there's probably a bit of psychological trauma, I guess. Like, because I guess there's this like, you know, like women like get off to like, you know, some form of pleasure pain complex. You know, they like to feel some pain mixed with pleasure. I think that there's something maybe about like men seeing like the psychological trauma, but then they're getting off in a very physical way.
Maybe.
You know, there could be something there.
I'll tell you what. There was one. I had one experience where I was at a swingers club, because I was in the swinging scene before I was in the escorting. I was in the swinging scene as a single guy before I got into escorting. So I would meet girls, and then we'd go to clubs together and stuff, right? And I went to this one club, and me and my date, we're in the hot tub, and this couple comes over and jumps into the hot tub with us. And the two girls start whispering or whatever. And then we decide to partner swap. So like the date I brought will go and fuck him or whatever. And his wife or girlfriend or whatever she was, fiance, I don't know what the fuck she was, came over and started sucking my dick. And I've never seen the blood run out of a man's face so far. This guy was as white as a sheet. The moment he just had this look of, you know, like a deer stuck in headlights. Once his missus started sucking my dick, he had that look on his face like, I immediately regret this decision.
But it was a swingers club, right?
Yeah, and my girl was trying to get my date, not my girlfriend, it was just one of my random fuck buddies. So she was trying to like service him, but he couldn't get it up because he was petrified at what he had just seen at watching his missus suck away at me. I will never forget that to the day I die. That the look on that man's face, he had the look of utter regret. He's like, I just fucked up, in a big way.
Yeah, I've been in some similar situations. I just never have I never have like those problems. When I have sex, it's just I become an animal. Like it's like I become a fucking animal. You know, the only time I've ever had a problem getting an erection is I think when I initially started having sex when I was just 19. Had some issues, just the first time or second time, but you know, once I got over that, it was never an issue. Not, but I've been in similar scenarios where like I was doing a couple swap with a sex friend of mine, and the other guy just couldn't perform, and I just had the two girls to myself, and the pain on his face. I felt bad for him. I was just too involved in the situation. I was having too much of a good time. But it's so I can relate. I can understand. I remember what it was like to overthink, and now looking back, I fully realized that, the second time I tried to have sex, I was just too anxious, too nervous. I was pedestalizing the woman. I wasn't putting my selfish needs first, because it was a totally new situation for me to be in. It's something you fantasize all your life about, and then you get to that point when you're I was 19 when I first got laid, but it's something I can kind of understand, but it's all psychological.
And that's actually another one of the amazing benefits of learning how to dirty talk, is like if you get into it and you enjoy it, it's actually a way for you to turn yourself on. If you ever get into that situation where you might be a bit nervous or whatever, it's like, oh, I'm in my head. Okay, well, just fucking forget about that for a second. Let me just whisper some dirty shit in your ear, whisper some perverted fantasies of mine, and if you just do that for like a minute or two, surprise, surprise, old boy downstairs is back in action. It's like it's a little super tool. It can do so many things for you, and it's like, guys will sort of beat themselves up like, oh, my erection's going down, or whatever, and it's like they'll furiously masturbate, or they'll try to do, they'll panic or whatever. It's like, no, just fucking relax and just start whispering dirty shit in your ear for like 5 minutes.
Right.
Because you take yourself out of your own head and you're putting things into her head instead. And all of a sudden you're back in the moment. You're present. You're not anxious anymore. You're aroused. It's like, oh, surprise, surprise. The problem that went away.
Right.
And I know this because I've used this on set before. I've used this in high pressure situations when there's like a room full of cameramen and fucking PAs whose whole wage depends upon me having an erection. Like thousands of dollars are on the line if I don't get a boner. So I'm like, so occasionally you get a bit of pressure. It's like, okay, well, this is one of the tools that I've at least used in my career to keep myself like in the game,
Yeah, man, it's it's just a lot of guys, overthink the situation and don't put their own desires first. They're just like getting caught up in their own thoughts, in their own head, and honestly, it's a bit of a cold hard truth, is the fact that honestly women get very turned off when they see a man getting not able to get. That's why it is a performance. So you have to perform as a man, like, and women will punish men that can't get erections. Like they might. Some girls will be vocally
ruthless.
like they won't even be nice about it. They won't be nice. Some girls will be like, on the outside they'll be like, oh no, it's fine, but inside they'll be angry and they'll be upset and they'll see it as an insult. So like that's why it's like, I think that even makes it worse for guys, because I think subconsciously guys know that, even though and they're like, oh, it makes them even more nervous. If they see the girl, they can just see that she's getting turned off, and it's a downward spiral basically.
Pretty much. No, that's why I wrote an entire book on that this year on like all the different ways guys can kind of get over performance anxiety and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
There's a lot of different subtle things that can be going on in your head that can cause you to go down that rabbit hole and be in a really bad place. But there's plenty of ways out of it. That's for damn sure.
I was talking to a friend last night, and we're saying like how it's slightly different topic, but it's like how sometimes even if you don't seal the deal with some women on the first date, they'll punish you by not meeting you again.
Yeah,
it's like if you miss the opportunity to fuck some of these women, they will punish you, because some women go out intentionally hoping that you're gonna fuck them,
Yep.
And if you don't make the move, if you're not bold enough and you don't, you don't make your moves, they'll punish you and they won't meet you again. They'll move on to find a guy that will fuck them. And
Absolutely. Yep.
they will find
They'll give you a window of opportunity, and if you
right.
don't take it, if you don't walk through that window during that moment they give you, then you're like they'll just label you as a pussy in their mind. You're like, this guy can't make a move, so I'm gonna move on to a different guy.
And it's amazing how it's a lot of, some of the harshest women will be these like feminist types. The men and women we're all equal, we're all the same, and then they'll be the worst. They'll be the first to call guys pussies, and you're so, you know what I mean. You would agree. Like these it's just so ironic. The hypocrisy. We're all equal. We're all equal. It's all the same, but we're really not. Like we're just two completely different creatures, men and women.
No, and it's the idea of the idea that men and women should be held to the exact same standards on everything in life is absolutely ridiculous. Women obviously have different standards for men and stuff. And it's like, I remember having this conversation with, I think one of the last times I was on Fresh and Fit was like, we were talking about the different sort of standards of like, okay, well, it's okay for me to like fuck around and have a main girl, but it's not okay for her to fuck around. And she's like, well, that is not fair. And I'm like, well, first of all, life ain't fair, so get over that. And second of all, actually, no, it wasn't even that example. It was the example of, I think it was the example of, men get more attractive as they get older, and women tend to get less attractive as they get older, right? It's kind of reversed, right? My value goes up, hers goes down. And she's like, well, that's male, that's a privilege that guys have that women don't. I'm like, yeah, that's true, but there's a ton of privileges that you have, my dear, that I do not have. For example, I don't get invited to yachts to go on boat parties every weekend here in Miami because I'm not a pretty young lady. I don't get invited to sit at tables and drink free vodka because I'm not a pretty young lady. So don't sit there and try to say that and boo-hoo, I don't have the privileges that you have because you're a man and I'm a woman. You retard, you get a whole bunch of privileges that I don't get purely because you're a woman. So, and I'm not sitting there fucking complaining about it, but they want to they want the cake and they want to eat it too. They want all the good things and none of the bad things,
Yeah. I'll never forget the time I was I was doing a photo shoot. I do photography just as a hobby, but I met this girl that was actually she was a Playboy model, and I remember I was shooting at her house, right, and she was smoking, and I was like, "What are you smoking there?" And she was like, "Oh, it was a pen." And I'd never smoked a pen before, but we'd finished the photo shoot and we were kind of chilling around, and she started she was just sitting there like in a G-string, and she said, "Do you want some?" I said, "Sure, yeah, I'll hit it twice," and I felt nothing, I felt fine, and she brought up massages, and I was like, damn shit, I was gonna bring that up, but she brought it up, and I was like, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good at giving massages actually, and I was in the middle of giving her a massage, and the just like it was like a fucking something just hit me in the face. I got I've never been as high in my life. I've never been it was totally it was overwhelming. It was it was just super fucking, But long story short, I was just I got way too high. I couldn't, I didn't know. I was started getting in my head thinking, oh, I'm I don't know if this is did I was thinking, did I ask her, or is this inappropriate, or just pure pussified, pussy as fuck. If I didn't smoke, we would have been fucking for sure. But I said, okay. I just basically I stopped giving her a massage, and she walked me to the door, and she was just standing at the door and said, I'm pretty good at giving massages too. And I was just way too high. I actually felt physically sick. This shit. I don't know what it was, but I don't even smoke. I'm not a smoker. But yeah, that was just like I missed that opportunity. It was gone. Like I never saw her again. Tried to meet her again, but I was punished for it. It was punished for being a pussy. But yeah, don't do drugs, kids.
That's the lesson today. Don't do drugs.
Yeah.
I like that. I think that's a good place for us to cap this off.
Yeah.
Don't do drugs.
Yeah, man. So but you're when is this course? It's open, is it? It's open.
Yeah. So this week, and it's on pre-order this week until the 27th of November, and you get a 50% discount if you pre-order it before the 27th of November. So it's on my Dirty Talk 101 course. It's on sale for $197 this week only. Get in before the 27th of November. Otherwise, the price doubles to $399, and it doesn't go back down again. So and use Max affiliate code in the description down below if you want to support Mac's channel as well. And take advantage of the pre-sale Black Friday discount sale that's going on this week.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, it's going to be good stuff, man. Yeah, guys, click on the link in my description and sign up. It's very, very affordable, and it's going to be, definitely going to help out your sex life for sure. So yeah, man, it's been a good chat.
It's always a good laugh with you, Mac. I enjoy myself.
Yeah, man. All right, man. So we'll cut it there. So peace out. Bye bye.